Good afternoon. My name is Balk. I'm from the Mulier Institute from the Netherlands. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for the opportunity to present our work here. Obviously, we would have preferred meeting face-to-face, but I guess this platform is a great alternative. And in the next few minutes, I would like to talk about the assessment of motor skills in children aged 0 to 4 in the Netherlands. And I see, before I continue, I will make myself a bit smaller so you can see the slides. A quick background. In the Netherlands, if we compare to 10 years ago, children aged 10 to 12 show actually lower levels of motor fitness, but also lower levels of motor competence. So we can see a clear trend. It's a negative trend. And the question is, how can we stop this trend? Well, it's obvious that these lower levels of motor fitness and motor competence do not occur over the course of 1 or 2 years. So in order to really stop this trend, we believe we have to monitor and interfere at the earliest stages possible. So together with the Ministry of Health, we developed this new program called the Knowledge Agenda for Physical Functioning in Children aged 0 to 4. And it also includes actually the development of new physical activity guidelines for this group, which are not yet available in the Netherlands at the moment. So for this presentation, I would like to focus on one part of this project, where we want to provide an overview of available measurement tools for the assessment of motor skills in children aged 0 to 4, and also to identify the essential clinometric and practical features of these tools. So first, we performed extensive literature search and also performed interviews with professionals in the field in order to select all tools available that fulfilled our criteria. Next, we performed interviews with experts in the field of child motor development in order to identify a set of the most essential features of these tools. And then we took these features and included them in questionnaires for professionals working in child healthcare, but also in daycare settings. We wanted to assess which of these features were considered most important, and also if and how child motor development was assessed and which tools are used. But now, because we have limited time, we will only focus on the first. So then the results. First, the overview of the measurement tools. When is the tool included? Well, obviously it had to assess overall motor skills, either gross or fine motor skills, or individual components of it. It had to be usable in children aged 0 to 4. If the tool was designed for a specific target group, we excluded the tool. And we also checked if it was available in the Netherlands or in Dutch. So these criteria resulted in an overview of 125 measurement tools. And then of these 125, 24 of them were also available in the Netherlands or in Dutch. So we have this extensive overview. We included or collected a lot of information about these tools, both more practical features, but also more clinometric. So these overviews are complete, but not yet available. They will be published soon online, together with some sort of selection tool, so you can select the features, criteria that are important for you, and you get the results of the measurement tools that fulfill these criteria. So next we performed interviews with experts, and we identified 12 features which can be divided in more practical features and more clinometric features. So the practical features include things like costs, but also the time needed to administer the test, the amount of materials and space needed, but also the impact on the child, the amount of training, and also the number of people that is needed to administer the test. More clinometric features were, for instance, or obviously the definition of motor skills that was used, but also validity, reliability, and sensitivity of the test, and the availability of normative values. So these 12 features were then included in questionnaires in both professionals working in a healthcare setting and in a daycare setting. So here we have the results of the healthcare setting. These results are preliminary, so we only have 45 professionals for now, but the data is still being collected. So 100% of organizations actually do pay attention to the monitoring of motor skills, and the professionals do spend an average of 28% of their time on the assessment of motor skills. So when we look at the features, so we asked which features are most important when you select a measurement tool for the assessment of motor skills in children aged 0 to 4. And in the green field, you can see the features that were considered very important. So reliability, but also impact on the child, validity, time needed to administer the test, normative values, and also the definition of motor skills. Features that were considered less important were costs, materials needed, space needed, but also the amount of training. So when we compare this to the childcare setting, still 96% of organizations pay attention to monitoring of motor skills, so it's still quite high. They do spend an average of 8% of their time on the assessment of motor skills, so that's slightly lower. And if we look at the features, by far the most important one was impact on the child. So that was considered very important. Next to that, they also mentioned reliability, the time it would need to take the test, the use definition of motor skills, and also the amount of training. Less important were the costs, the materials and space needed, the sensitivity and the availability of norm values. So to conclude, although many tools are available, as we have seen, the ideal tool does not exist, and it's really dependent on the age of the child and also the setting in which you want to use the tool. Important features are impact on the child, reliability, time needed to administer the test, and also the definition of motor skills that is used. But next to that, next to these features, it's also really important to be aware of the purpose of the assessment when you want to select a tool. So do you want to monitor, evaluate, screen, or benchmark? You have to be aware of that when you select a tool. So I'd like to thank my colleagues from the Mulier Institute, and I would like to thank you for your attention, of course, and I will be available for questions during or after the session. Thank you.